If you don't know who I am Jonathan Hartig. I am the executive chef owner of J2Food. We are based in New York, but we also do events in other places. Philly, DC, has food, will travel. And so tonight we're going to be making two kinds of hamantashen. We're doing a savory Pizzatashen, and then we're also going to be making a dessert hamantashen, a cannoli inspired hamantashen. If you wanted to make actual cannoli shells, I don't have the recipe for that, but I'm sure they can be found somewhere where you can buy them. We're going to be filling our our base hamantashen dough with cannoli filling. It'll be delicious, I promise. So if you're cooking along, you should start getting your ingredients out. You should set your oven to, do you want to make sure the oven is set on to 375? And if you're not cooking along, that's okay. We're going to be recording, and we will be sending out a copy of the class with either tonight or tomorrow, so that you can take along by yourself or with your crew, with your family, whatever, for Purim. So let's get started. We're going to be doing the dessert dough first, because it needs a little bit of time to chill. If you're using, especially if you're using butter, if you're not using butter, using margarine, you could do it right away. I still like to let it chill a little bit. It's one of the reasons for using very, very cold butter and letting your dough, chill and rest is it helps with the crumbliness and the flakiness. I'm just cutting it has 1 cup or 2 sticks of butter. I'm just cutting them into smaller squares because it'll help it distribute and mix in with everything more easily. One of the reasons we like it very cold and we do things like this is so that everything stays, it's all about science, right? With baking. If it's cold, when it goes into the oven with the other ingredients, it will take longer, right, for the butter and for the margarine to melt, the fat to melt, and therefore it will more evenly distribute, and it will, the glutens and the process will have more time to do their thing. If you put it in where it's kind of warm, they'll melt pretty quickly, and you'll have more spread of your cookie, which is fine. You can get a little bit more crispiness. You do that a lot if you ever make some of these flatter, round, chocolate chip cookies. You want a lot of surface area. But for these, we don't want them to spread too much. We want them to stay nice and buttery, and crumbly for a classic hamantashen. So I just put this into my stand mixer. If you don't have a stand mixer, that's okay. You can use a hand mixer. You can use just your the pedal to the metal and get a workout with your arms. Totally fine. You just want to be able to mix in that butter really well. And I'm using it. I have it sitting with the paddle. If you were making, usually if you have a stand mixer, it comes with 3 different kinds of attachments. It comes with a dough hook, which is for a J. That's if you're making breads or something like that. You really want to knead and really mix with that, and you can scrape the sides. There's usually a whisk attachment, which is if you're making frosting or looser batters, and the paddle is for things in between. So we're making essentially this is almost like a cookie dough. It's almost like a sugar cookie dough, not as sweet. If we weren't putting eggs in, it would essentially be a shortbread, which is great for crumbling. So I'm just going to start mixing this a little bit on low. You don't want to go crazy, and then I'm going to start adding everything to this. So I'm going to add my eggs, 4 eggs, one at a time. I'm just cracking that into another bowl just to make sure there's no blood, or if the shell accidentally gets in it. Once it's in there, you can't really take it out. So I'm just in one at a time. And See, I got a little shell. So the best way to get shell out of your egg is to use a piece of the shell, very, very thin, and just scoop it out with the edge. See, there you go. Then we need our fourth egg. There are some recipes that don't call for eggs, and that's fine. Everybody can do their own thing. Let's turn this off for a minute while I add the sugar. I don't want everything to go splashing all up on me. Perfect. So we want 1 1/4 cups of sugar. So it seems like a lot of sugar, which it is, but it's also making a lot of dough. This dough will probably make somewhere between 18 and 24 Hamantashen. And I'm also going to add some vanilla, like about 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Just going to eyeball it. You can use, I'm using vanilla extract, but you can feel free to use vanilla pods or vanilla bean if you have it. They're just way more expensive. You just want sort of like the essence of vanilla. It should start to smell like cookies in your kitchen. See? It's the truth. Alright. So we're mixing all our wet ingredients in here. Increase the speed a little bit. And we're going to use another bowl to mix our dry ingredients. So we're going to add our flour, which is here. We need a lot of flour. So you're going to need like 5.5 cups of flour. Start with 5.5, and then you can always add a little more later if you need. And then we're also going to add baking powder. And we're doing the dry ingredients separate from the wet. This helps us prevent the lumps. If you put everything in at once, then things will start to mix right away. You may get clumps of stuff, and you might really have to put a lot of elbow grease into making that smooth again. So better to not do that. 2. What is everyone's favorite Hamantashen filling? Like if we were gonna make it another recipe or from a store or something. Well, I'll talk at once.
Apple.
There's another surprise. There's a dog here. Apple. Do you use apple pie as like filling or?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the best.
Funky.
I like it. I think you can. I think like the canned apple pie filling is easy. And there's a dog who's not home. Sorry, we have surprise guests. This is just the way we roll. They smelled the cookies and they came inside. Hello, do you want to say hi, Zoe? This is Zoe.
Hi.
He loves Hamantashen. All right, so somewhere is my beautiful there. We are gonna put 3 teaspoons. We're gonna put our 3 teaspoons, or 1 tablespoon of baking powder, not baking soda. Baking powder is what you use to get fluffiness in your baked goods. Baking soda is what you use to A, freshen up your fridge, B, to keep other things fresh, or C, to get you a little bit of like fluffiness in if you were making like a fritter or something like that. Baking powder is what gets you for it to rise and be to support our flour in keeping this and making sure this is softer and not super tough. Jamie, are you taking over as sous chef?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh wait, I need my apron.
Your apron. Yes. So, no worries, Letty. We put our wet ingredients, our butter, sugar, vanilla, and eggs in our mixer, and then we put our dry ingredients together, our flour and baking powder. You guys can have this. Just together. We did it separately so that they're not going to lump. So just going to give this a quick mix. You can also sift these together if you have a sifter, which is what like a lot of professional bakers use. It looks like a big cylinder, and there's a thing on the side that you press, and it like slowly in like chunks like starts coming out, and it also mixes it at the same time. So we are we're gonna mix these together, and now we're gonna put everything together. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
We're gonna add our dry ingredients to our wet ingredients slowly. So we'll add about half at first, and then we'll turn the mixer on. If you add everything at the same time, it might flour explosion. You're gonna look like you have a drug problem. So we're gonna turn this on low just to get it started, and then we're gonna add the rest. Don't worry if not all of it gets in. Even though baking is very precise, it's a little bit more forgiving of a cookie dough. So if some of it gets on the floor, some of it gets in your hair, some of it gets whatever, as it will, it's okay. That's why we have vacuums. And Zoe will hopefully not eat the raw flour. So, perfect. We're gonna get all this in. And I'm also going to add a pinch of salt to this. It's not always necessary for this. I think it helps stabilize a lot of the ingredients, and also it helps bring out the natural flavors. So we're just going to turn this back on. And away we go. So next, we're going to let this go. And next thing we're going to do is knead it. And you can go up one thing. It doesn't need to be like one big ball of dough. As long as everything is starting to incorporate, you don't see any huge pockets of anything. And it's going to start to lift away from the sides of the bowl. Standing you in the mixer, it starts to stick to the center. That's how you know it's ready. I can show you. Yeah.
I can already smell it.
You can see it like starting to come away from the center of the bowl and stick to the side. Stick to the center. That's how you know it's ready for you to take your mixer off, take your bowl out, and to dump it to knead it a little bit. So just use your hand to get it all off of the dough hook. Then we will sort of push it into a ball of dough ourselves. And if you were doing this, with a hand mixer or by hand, you just use your hand to sort of bring it together into a ball, and then you would flour or flash it, as we will. We're gonna flour our flat surface. And then Jamie is going to take our dough out.
I have a question, John. For the butter, it's not supposed to be melted, right?
No, it's not supposed to be melted. It could be okay if it's soft, like if it's margarine or something, but it really should be chilled, and that will help you get this sort of like the crumbly flakiness of cookies. But if it's not, it's okay. It will do it. And you can just see we're just gonna sort of be putting this into a bowl. How's that going? It's very, I feel like kneading dough is very, it's like a stress relief. Like, why? Like, you had a bad Zoom call.
I needed it.
You literally needed it. Yes. 10 points for a joke. Okay, so as it comes into a ball of dough, give you an up close and personal look. It's gonna be smooth. You hit it and it's like it's the thud. This is good. It should be soft and pliable, but it shouldn't fall apart. We are gonna just wrap it in some plastic wrap. And put it in the fridge to chill while we're getting everything else ready. So here's our dough. You can make this dough, I'd say, at least 2 or 3 days in advance. So let someone else in. We're just gonna put this in the sink. I'm just gonna take the refrigerator until we're ready for it. If you joined us recently, we were just making our dessert Hamantashen dough, which is perfect for any sort of sweet fillings. We used a mixer, but you can also use a hand mixer or just a whisk. If you have really strong arms, it's a great workout. And we mixed cold butter, eggs, sugar, and vanilla, and we put that all together. And then separately, we mixed our dry ingredients, our flour and baking powder, and then we added a pinch of salt. And then we incorporated and mixed our wet into our dry. And we did this so that there wouldn't be any lumps in our dough. And then we mixed it on medium-low until it started to come away from the sides of the bowl and came more to the center. And then we dumped it onto a flat surface, put a little flour down first, and kneaded it for like a minute until it became a ball. Then we wrapped it in plastic wrap, put it in the fridge. And it will be waiting for us, ready to go, when we come back to it after we've done our other dough and our cannoli fillings. Do you want something? You want a cookie? I don't have it. Just have sugary hands. Do you want that? Okay. So, how are people doing who are following along? What step are you on? Do we need to go a little slower?
Yeah, a little.
No worries. That's why I'm here. Everybody should go at their own pace.
We got peppers in the fridge.
I'm mixing the dough. I'm mixing the dough with my hands, so it's not easy.
I like that. See, that's really. I mean, you don't have to go to the gym then. It's like instead of beat up your dough.
So it's a little floury. It's okay.
If it's a little floury, it's okay. You can keep mixing it, and it will incorporate more of the flour. But you can also feel free, if it's coming to a ball, pick it up and give it a smack.
For now, it's coming into like pieces like this.
That's okay. It's gonna. You added all the eggs?
Yes, 4 eggs and the butter.
The vanilla.
And the vanilla. Yeah, so it should come in.
If you're doing it with your hand, it's just gonna take a little bit longer for it to come together. But it will.
Okay.
If you're really worried, you can try adding a tablespoon of water.
Oh, okay.
But I wouldn't add too much of that. You don't want it to. You don't want to add too much of that, or your dough will eventually come apart later.
Oh, okay. So I'll just keep doing it. It's
no worries. How's everybody else doing? Great. I see a thumbs up. Perfect. So, so we are going to start getting other things ready. I think you should make pizza dough. It's perfectly fine if you want to use store-bought. I do it all the time. You usually find pizza dough in the same area as like cheeses and the eggs. A lot of times now you can also find like a whole wheat variety, or even like a garlic and herb or something. It's great, and you can make homemade pizza at home all the time. You can also stop by. I don't know if you're still doing this at some of the places with the pandemic, but a lot of places, like pizza places near you, like local pizzerias, you can just buy dough from them. You can just say, "Can I get it?" Sometimes they'll give it to you for free. They have extra at the end of the day. But other times they'll sell it to you and it's cheap, like $1 for like a whole ball of dough. It's like nothing. And then you can make it at home. So we are going to make our pizza dough. So how do people feel? Are you ready? Are you ready to pizza it up? Yeah, okay. So the first thing we're gonna do is, so you're gonna want a bigger bowl for when the dough is done. So if you don't have a nice big bowl, get one now. You need to give your dough room to like rise up and get bigger. It's almost like a child. A child doesn't have enough room to get big and front, then it'll just sit there and won't become, you know, the pizza child that you really always wanted. I mean, doesn't everybody want a pizza child?
Everybody wants a pizza baby. And a pizza baby in my belly.
Right, exactly. Okay. I need a cup of very, very warm water in here. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna use our yeast, and that's gonna let our pizza dough rise. Otherwise, we're just having a flatbread, which is also good. But if we want Pizzatashen, we need pizza dough. And we're gonna add, our yeast needs two things for it to work. It's magic. It needs water, warm water, very warm water, but not like scalding hot. So it needs a cup. And then it needs sugar, something sugary. So sometimes in the sugar, yeast likes to eat sugar. And as it eats it, the science happens. And it starts to percolate a little bit and starts to, go into the reactions. So we're gonna add a tablespoon of yeast, and we're also gonna add a tablespoon of sugar into our water. So this is a very important step. You can't just not do this, or you can't just do this and not whatever. It won't work. So we're gonna bloom the yeast. It's okay. There you go. Get a little stuff. And then once we've done our yeast, we are gonna then add our other stuff to it after this has started to.
So what if we have a packet of yeast?
So we're also using a packet.
Is it a whole packet?
It's a whole packet, like one of this size. Whole packet. It's about a tablespoon.
Okay.
And then we're gonna add a tablespoon of sugar. And then we're gonna mix it together. And it will start eventually, give it a few minutes, it'll start to, let's move this up the side. It'll start to sort of bubble a little bit and get a little, like, do yeasty things that you want to see. But this will only happen if you use warm water and there's sugar. You can also use, I've seen recipes with, like for challah, where they use honey. That's good. Now, let's let it sit. It needs time. It smells yeasty. It'll smell like bread. And it'll take a minute to start to do its thing. So, the other ingredients we need for our pizza dough: olive oil. I think you should use good stuff now. Yeah. This is not the time to go for the avocado oil or the grapeseed or something healthier. You need the fruitiness and the fattiness of like good olive oil, like the green stuff. If you really don't, you can just use like a light olive oil, but I think you'll taste it because this is such a simple dough. But I'm not here. You're in your kitchen by yourself. It's fine. I won't judge you harshly. Zoe might. While we're letting our yeast, it's already started, you can see, to start to do its thing a little bit. But we're gonna let it keep going another few minutes. And to our mixer, right? Science at work.
Science.
To our mixer, we're going to add our flour. So we need about 2 to 2.5 cups of flour. And then we also are going to add, and then we're going to add a little bit of salt to that. And then we're going to add our yeast and our olive oil to our flour and let it become dough. Is that right? Taking that. So this is like a quick pizza dough. It won't necessarily have some of the crunchiness or chewiness of your local pizzeria dough. They let it rise much longer, and you can also let this rise for an hour or 2 hours. You can let it sort of ferment and grow. But we do not want to be eating hamantashen at midnight, right? So we are doing a quick pizza dough. So we're also gonna add about a teaspoon of salt.
Did you stir the yeast in, or did you just drop it in?
No, we stirred. Once we added the yeast and the sugar to the bowl, we stirred it. You don't have to stir for too long, but just so that everything is incorporated. So I mean, you can see, I'll show you more. It's starting to get even more bubbly, and it'll get foamy.
You can smell the yeast.
You can start to smell it a little bit. You can start to see pockets, and that's what you're looking for. Those are the yeast eating the sugar and starting to produce the compounds that allow breads and other doughs to rise. So we can mix this up a little bit more. Just put on low. You don't have to lock it right here. So there's 2 sides to the stand mixer. This side is to lock it, like so it won't move. This side is to put it on different speeds. This side over here in the front, actually, you can take this off. Loosen it off, and you can put attachments there. So if you ever use your pasta or meat grinder or spiralizer to make like noodles or something, so we're just gonna start to mix it. And we're also going to add our yeasty water sugar mixture to our dough, to our flour and salt bowl. And then we're going to increase the speed because we want to really supercharge the gluten to start to create that. The glutens are what allows for like stretch and pull. So you walk it. And you want to let this go you want to do it for a few minutes. If you're doing it with a mixer or your hands, you're going to have to knead it for a long time. Well, not a long time, but a while. All right, once it starts pulling off from the side, it's done. It's done for now. So we're going to put it into another ball of dough. It's a similar process to what we did with the hamantashen dough. And that's why it works. So we'll show you what it looks like. It's going to be really sticky. This is when you know it's ready to come out. It's sticky, it pulls, but not too much. But you want to put flour on your board and flour on the thing, and just knead it a little bit. So for kneading, you take your dough, you use your palm of your hands, push down, and push it away from you. Then you just sort of roll it back and keep doing the same thing. And you want to do this until it's really smooth. And you can do it with the other hand. You can toss it around. It's gonna love you. And you could use this right now. It'll bake up. It'll be fine. It just won't be super chewy. Your dough will be kind of dense. We need to give time for everything to activate. So this is good. Now I'm gonna put this in. I'm gonna take a bowl. Take a bowl in this, and I'm gonna put a little olive oil in it. Because are you even cooking Italian if there's no olive oil? And just like a tablespoon of dough. I'm just gonna put my dough in the bowl. We're not looking to like cover this whole thing. We just want enough that it's not gonna stick and it'll start to absorb it. Put it in a nice warm place while we work on everything else. And then cover it. Maybe you might do with bread dough. This is gonna keep building over a while. I'm just gonna wash my hands quickly. And do another check-in with people. How is everybody doing? I know sometimes we lose track of time while we're working and people are doing things, they have different equipment. How's everybody doing taste-wise? Is anybody hungry yet? It's all right. You can tell me if you ate some of your dough. I won't judge you. This is a dough judgment-free zone. Yes. Ella, how are you all doing?
Well, I'm just letting the yeast rise. Nothing that we ever make with yeast ever works. So I'm giving it a minute. And I stirred it pretty well.
Better to wait a little bit and be safe.
Yeah. And then our salt container and sugar container are exactly the same almost. And so I put a little sugar in to the savory dough. I think that should be okay.
Should be some salt in the dough. Usually you add it to the flour first.
I know I added it to the flour, but it has now a teaspoon of sugar and a teaspoon of salt because they look
That's okay. It'll just give it a slightly sweeter flavor.
It'll be extra.
It should be fine.
Were you using the paddle mixer yet? Okay.
Yeah, I always use paddle mixers for these kind of doughs. If I'm making bread, it's something that's really big, and then I'll use the dough hook. But if you don't have it, a paddle will work fine. You just have to. You can even buy one that has like a paddle with a scraper on the side, so it really gets things good. But if you're like a serious baker and you make a lot, that's the swag to have, right? So, hi Janet, hi Sydney, hi Michelle. How are you all doing? Are you cooking with us, or are you just absorbing so you can make later on?
I arrived late, so I'm watching, but I did have all the ingredients with the intentions of cooking today. But since I arrived late, I just figured I'll watch the recording over the weekend.
Oh yeah, no worries. And you've been on other cooking sessions, right?
Yes. I've learned a lot.
Thank you. Yeah, and we'll be recording. We're recording this too, so there's no pressure. Sometimes you just want, things happen.
Yeah.
Okay, just cleaning my.
Is there any rule of thumb for how you know that your yeast is done? Like,
as long as it starts to foam up and get a little bubbles, like in the middle and on the sides, you definitely want to see it thicken up a little bit and get foamy. That's when you know it's activated.
Yeah, I think so.
It should be like. It'll be very beige when it mixes, but then you'll see do you use very warm water, do you think? Yeah, that's starting to become, it doesn't always, sometimes it takes 5 or 10 minutes. It also depends, if you're at different, are you at a...
No, I'm in DC, not in Colorado.
Okay, altitude. Yeah. Then yeah, no, as long as you use like nice warm water and put the sugar, you did put the sugar in the yeast though, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's why the sugar was out, was because it went into the yeast, and then
Yes, the sugar is
It'll
supposed
lock
to
it.
be, it eats the sugar.
Yep.
Okay, so sometimes it takes a second. That did look like it was starting. I'd give it another couple minutes. If you're really
Okay.
worried,
That's okay. I'll catch up.
but I think it should be good. In the meantime, we're doing a lot of prep like at the beginning, right? Because we want everything to be ready for us when we're rolling and going. So we're gonna go back to our mixer. So you take time to clean your bowl or get a new one, or you chef has the paddle somewhere. Maybe. Oh, all right. We're gonna put this back on. Okay. Ooh. We're gonna make our cannoli filling. Overflow of Tashen. Oh, yes. Oh, perfect. Yes, Janet, that's a great idea. There can never be any varieties of Hamantashen.
I know. I was so excited when I went to search my email for the recipe list. And I was like, wow, 2021. Oh, wow, strawberry balsamic. Oh, cannoli, yay. I was so excited.
They love each other. Balsamic, I mean, everything, very Italian. But how could that be bad, right? Yeah, so we're gonna make our cannoli filling. This one's super easy. We're just mixing. We're not, no separate bowls or whatever. I don't know. I'm not Italian. I'm not Sicilian. Do you know any people who are Sicilian or Italian who make their own cannoli?
I lived in Italy for months and I eat a lot of cannoli.
Yeah? So you're going to have to tell us if this is like authentic.
If it
Like,
tastes authentic,
if it tastes authentic.
done.
Otherwise, you can go down, to like Veneros or something. And they're delicious. You used to have to wait like an hour. Otherwise, now it's, I mean, well, not technically, but now it's like, you don't have to wait much. All right. We're making our ricotta filling with ricotta cheese. This is the same cheese you might have in like lasagna or stuffed shells. But it's also used in a lot of sweet Italian desserts. And some Italian recipes would call for mascarpone. Mascarpone, thank you. They might call for that instead. And that's just, so that's more similar to like cream cheese-esque. And that's fine, but I like the thickness of ricotta. I think it's delicious, but feel free to use mascarpone instead. Feel free to even use cream cheese. You can go really sort of Hamish, like Jewish, and use farmer's cheese. That would be really good. It's my favorite on a bagel or ravioli. So, should we take a taste of the cracker thing? Take a taste of the ricotta cheese. Extra delicious. But do you want really good. You always have to do a little bit of quality control. So, we're gonna add a quarter cup of the ricotta cheese. Yeah, I mean, we'll use about half of that then. And if you get a little extra, it's okay. This is not what needs to be super precise. The fillings are much more forgiving. When you're making like an actual baked good, a cake or cookie dough or something, right? You want to be a little more exact for the portions. But the fillings, more forgiving. So if you do a third of a cup instead of a quarter of a cup, it's okay. It won't fail anyone. We're also going to add 4 ounces of cream cheese, and we're just using like plain. So it's about half of like the package you might buy at the store. You can use already with ricotta cream cheese. You can use mascarpone instead. You can use light cream cheese. That's fine. My favorite Passover cream cheese tempeh is also delicious, and that's because it's always whipped. You just want about 4 ounces, which is like half a cup. And if you remember, if you get a little extra, that's okay. It's going to be just extra delicious now. Then we're going to add about half a teaspoon of cinnamon. And we're going to put, so a third of this teaspoon, so just do like Just eyeball it. We want this to have a little bit of that sort of warmth from the cinnamon, but we won't want to taste like we're eating potpourri or an apple pie. And then we're going to add 1/4 cup of powdered sugar. It's sometimes called confectioner sugar because that's what they use as opposed to regular granulated sugar or caster sugar as it's called in the UK. They use confectioner sugar because it dissolves, and when you're making candy or confections, you don't want to have any pieces or any sort of graininess that you might get from granulated sugar. So we're going to add 1/4 cup, and remember, if you get a little extra, it's okay. But we're also going to have a little bit of extra of the powdered sugar later on because we're going to garnish with it. And then we also need chocolate chips. I'm using 1/2 cup of mini chocolate chips. You can use, they have so many varieties nowadays. You can use dark chocolate, would be delicious. You can use white chocolate. You can even use like peanut butter chips and make this some sort of like peanut butter cannoli type, hybrid thing. All delicious. You can skip that. You also don't need to have the chocolate chips. I just felt like when I went for cannoli, I wanted the ones with the little chocolate chips in them. They always had like the plain and then the one with the chocolate chips. And I'm like, thank you, exactly. I like, don't be a sucker. Get everything that you want. So we want 1/2 cup of the whole thing this time. And these are mini chocolate chips. You can use regular size, but we are gonna. So we should have mixed this together before we added the chocolate chips, but it's fine. We're just gonna be very careful because the chocolate chips sometimes it will cause noise for your mixer. Usually you want to mix the other ingredients because they're smooth, and then the chocolate chips, you can see picture here, but this is totally fine. We're just gonna do this until everything is come together in like one homogeneous mixture. If you were adding chocolate chips to like a cake batter or something, you usually would want to dust the chips first with a little bit of flour so that they don't sink to the bottom. But this is a pretty dense filling. Ingrid, how are you doing? I see you're getting such an arm workout.
I know, it's really tough right now, but it's, I have pieces that are okay like that, and then I have others, it's just.
Or which?
Should I put water in it?
Well, which dough are you making? The Hamantashen?
The Hamantashen, yeah.
Yeah, I would add a little bit of water then. Okay. I also would think if you were doing it by hand, that would be an okay use to use like margarine or to have the butter not as cold because it's much harder to get everything mixed together unless you have like a mortar and pestle.
I mean, the butter looks like it disappeared already, even though it was
okay.
cold.
You can also can you bring everything together sort of like with your hand, like does it come together or is everything very crumbly?
It's pretty much crumbly right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe I put too much flour.
It's okay. Try adding a little water or adding a tablespoon of like vegetable oil.
Of oil?
Or even maybe a tablespoon of vegetable oil because the fat will help sort of like just slide together. And then, you can try to just bring it together and then wrap it and then once you try kneading it, wrap it in plastic. And once you sort of get it, you wrap the plastic really tightly around it. And then when it's chilling in the fridge, a lot of stuff will come back together. But try to sort of like knead it a little bit.
Yeah, it's better. Oh, it's wet.
Yeah. So while we've been troubleshooting, I'm very impressed that you don't even have a mixer.
Yeah, because I do the challah with my hands, so I didn't think that I would need a mixer.
Do you have a food processor?
No.
Okay. No, it'll come together.
Oh no, I have a mixer. Like where is it? It's the Vitamix. That's not that's.
I think a Vitamix you could potentially make a dough in there, but I don't actually know how.
Yeah.
To do that. I'll look it up, but
it's hard. Yeah.
I would give your sort of dough piece a little time to rest.
After, yeah. So it's coming, yeah.
Coming together?
Yeah, more now. Now that I added water and then the oil.
Sometimes it's because, you know, with the mixer, things like mixers help them come into like smaller pieces.
Yeah.
So you don't need any of the extra stuff. But okay, so
I'll need to buy a mixer. What's the brand?
If you're gonna make a lot of naan, I mean, challah, I understand it comes more together because it's a bread dough, so you can sort of get away with that with kneading, sort of brings everything together.
Right.
But something like this, it's a little bit. It has some other ingredients that you need to. If you're not using a mixer, you need more moisture to help it.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm gonna buy one. I was just saying that offline to my mother. I said I need a mixer at this point.
These are cannoli filling, by the way. This will be fine for about, I'd say, 12 Hamantashen. If you wanted to make a lot more, I would double this recipe. If you can also just eat these on like crackers or cookies or. I mean, I don't know if you can ever have too much cannoli filling. Yeah, no. Hard to know. But yes, so we're gonna give everybody a couple minutes, and we're gonna get to the exciting parts of making Hamantashen and Pizzatashen. So Ingrid, you're fine. Take your time.
I'm sorry. I'm like.
I think if it's come together, you should
It's
put it
together.
and you should just wrap it in plastic and let it rest for a bit.
Yeah, but it's still crumbly, so I have to take all these like different pieces.
Yeah, it just takes time. At least you'll know you made it. That will be the effort, right?
Yeah, it will be satisfying after, I guess. Nice, good come together. I'm gonna add more oil.
I'm offering to put the ingredients away. So don't mind chat amongst yourselves. Oh wow. We need this out here. Making some more room. So I asked this before, but not everybody was on. What is your favorite Hamantashen filling? Or what's your favorite Purim food? Because maybe Hamantashen are not your jam. Yeah, see, you did. Thank you. Somebody laughed at my joke. Tough crowd. I feel like the virtual makes it harder to read the room, so to speak. But all the jam fillings. I have a spot. I like to. I love using strawberry or some sort of fresh jam. To do it. Last year we did strawberry. When we did strawberry balsamic.
Oh wow.
Oh, you're Lenny. That's fancy. Big jam. You serve it with like with some sort of like cheese. You can put your big Hamantashen on a cheese board. That could be like a lovely sort of like.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Multi-use Hamantashen. Instead of having crackers, you have your big Hamantashen. Or you could do it with like Concord grapes, and you could do some sort of like peanut butter thing with it. I don't know. Coming up with ideas, right? Yeah, you're on this project. So I'm gonna flour my work surface again because we're gonna roll out our dough and make Hamantashen. So I think we should start with the sweet one because because it's been chilling. And here it is. And we don't need to use all of this right now because this is a lot of dough. So I'm just gonna take my little and I'm just gonna cut part of it. And if we need more dough, we will go with more dough. The rest of this dough can stay 48, 72 hours in the fridge. But the rest of it, we're just gonna give it a roll in the dough a little, in the flour a little bit.
Can you freeze it too? If you have.
You can freeze it, but I would still use it within a week. It might start to change the consistency of things. Yeah, but I would use it within 7 days. There's a roll over there. And we should also flour our rolling pins. This is a pretty good dough, but sometimes you just want to be better safe than sorry. And just start to roll out from all sides. So we want it to be, I'd say, like maybe 1/4 of an inch thick. So like not thin enough that you can read the newspaper through it, but thin enough that it that they're not. It's like maybe the size of like a nickel. And don't worry if it tears a little bit. You can always feel free to like roll it back over, fold it up. It's totally fine. Not try to do that, but and if it gets under, that's why we flour the rolling pin also, so that it comes off easily. That's fine. We can just use that as the next one. But we're going to go, I'd say, like we're in over here. This is like a good size. And then we're going to need either a cup, like a water glass. I'm just using my cup measure. So we're going to use this to cut out our so go a little bit. You just want to do like a little bit of pressure and roll from the bottom out. Start from the middle and then go each way so it's even. Sides. And it's okay if you feel like you have edges, you can always cut it. And we'll gather this dough up. And we'll use it again. It's not done. We'll just use it on our next round. Because that's what we're going to keep doing. We're just going to keep sort of rolling and cutting. So you can use a water glass, you can use this cup. Just want to get as many rounds of dough out of it. So put it down, put pressure, and sort of twist it around a little bit. And you'll get your round of dough. If you use a water glass or something with a thin edge, great. Do a little more, I'll show you. And then all the dough scraps we're going to gather and roll it back. See? Nice round of dough. Okay. And then we're just going to sort of line up our pieces, and then we'll fill them. Perfect. And this is going to get our cannoli filling. But you can also use jam. You know, as we talked about, you can use other savory fillings. You can use other sweet fillings. You can use Nutella. Is great way to do this. And then we're just, so we all just have the dough. We're gonna, Mimi's gonna roll these out again. If we need more flour, we can always throw more flour down. I'm gonna start filling these so you can see what it looks like. So we have our delicious cannoli filling. Just gonna put a little bit in the middle. Don't go crazy. About a tablespoon is good. And then we need to have a small thing of water or egg wash or milk. Anything's great. And we're just gonna take our finger, dip it in, and run it around the outside a little bit. This isn't always necessary with this dough because it's like a sugar cookie dough, so it'll more forgiving. But if you really want to make sure everything stays sealed, that's the best. And then we're just going in.
It's like overflowing and filling. So that's the trick.
That's the trick. It helps to seal it. And we just sort of went on just to the top and then to the sides and you pinch it together so it makes a triangle. And then we don't want too much filling. Here's lovely little hamantashen. We're gonna do one more, and then we're just gonna keep filling for a bit, and then go to you. So be ready. So a little water just on the outside. This just aids in our filling of the, making sure they don't unseal. We pinched on one side, pinched at the top, and then I pinched at the other side. And we have another hamantashen. There's also, thank you. We can also do the folding method. And I'll show you that without the filling. You can see it more. The folding method, you definitely don't need the water for. And so I'll put a little bit of filling just in the middle. Alright, if it's too thick, you can always, if you find that your dough is a little too thick when you've been originally doing it, you can always start over. This will forgive you. And if you find it started to get too soft, you can put it back in the fridge or in the freezer for a bit to fix it. So for the folding method, we're gonna start with one side, you're gonna fold it over. Then the next side, starting at that corner, you're gonna fold over that corner to seal, and then fold the other side. And then the bottom, sort of half moon, you're gonna fold it over again. So this is sealed by their folding. They're gonna have slightly thicker corners, but I think that's perfectly fine. Nobody cares. They're all gonna eat the cookie, it's gonna be delicious. So again, filling in the middle. Then one side goes, then the other side over that corner starting, fold it, and then fold the bottom over the corner. And then you feel like pinching it so it's a little thinner. That's all. Fine. How's it going?
Good. Hopefully this one's thinner.
I'm gonna do another one with the pinching method. For this one, I'm using water, and I'm just running it lightly around. And I'm pinching on one side, pinching on another side, and I'm pinching at the top. And just sort of making sure everything is together. This is a very delicate filling. There you go.
How do we feel about Nutella as a filling?
Love Nutella filling. You can even gild the lily and do Nutella and chocolate chips.
Or Nutella and little marshmallows?
Oh my god, yes. You can even do Nutella based little sprinkling of graham cracker and the mini marshmallow stuffed in there. And then you have s'mores hamantashen. I love that idea. I think you can use, we don't have any ricotta. I know that because we didn't have any yesterday, and I used all the milk we had to make ricotta from scratch to have on some like mushroom ricotta toast, and so we don't have either of those things now. You can substitute mascarpone, cream cheese. You can even potentially use goat cheese. I'm gonna go old school and make my mom's nut filling while you guys are doing that, because I've fallen behind anyway. So I'm just gonna take my sheet pan and I'm lining it with I'm lining it with parchment paper, and I'm just gonna put my hamantashen with water on right out, and I'm just gonna start putting my hamantashen on the pan. Lovely, and then they're gonna go bake in a minute. Okay, so everybody can keep doing, and then if you're over the sweet hamantashen, you can feel free to start doing getting your pizza dough back out and ready for its illustrious debut. So I think probably good enough to be able to start. Yeah, I think you have slightly too much filling, but it'll be fine. Pinching these. And so if you can feel free to use your favorite your favorite tomato sauce, or you can use store-bought. It's fine. You can even just go fresh tomatoes. It's perfectly fine. They'll all be delicious. I made some sauce, very simple. I used crushed tomatoes, dried basil, dried oregano, pinch of sugar to help with the acidity, and olive oil and garlic. And I cooked that down for like 30 minutes. And simple sauce. Very good, very delicious. Easy for pasta or pizza or any sort of Italian menu. So, holy melon, fixing that one. That one's gonna burst, I know it. I think we could stop rolling out the dough for a minute because I think we might run out of space in our pan. If you have extra dough, it can go back in the fridge. Use it for another batch, or you can even use this and just make regular cookies, or use it as a base if you want to make some sort of like pie bar. Would be great. So these need at least like an inch and a half in between, but they don't need too much room. We fit 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15 on here. And we are gonna pop these in the oven. That's 375, right? Great. So try to keep it as close to the middle rack as possible. But if you can't, that's okay. No, that's good. For this oven, it's the middle rack. But if you get on top, it's perfectly fine. We have some extra dough, so what we'll do is we'll just add it to our other ball of dough. You know, they're related, so they're gonna love to get back together. Have some reunion times, and we'll just put this back and put it in the fridge. And remember, you can keep this for another at least 2 or 3 days. So yes, thank you. So the hamantashen are going to bake for 12 to 15 minutes. Ovens are slightly varied, so if you feel like yours is taking too long, don't worry. You can increase the heat by 5 degrees or leave it in for another few minutes. Once they're sort of golden brown, they're ready. They might not necessarily be super like hard, when you take it out of the oven, they'll be a little bit soft, a little bit of give, like other types of cookies when you're doing cookie dough. That's okay. You don't necessarily want super crunch these cookies. I just cleared off my surface a little bit, and you're going to take our pizza dough out. So our pizza dough has done lovely rising things. It was much slower and lovely and really pliable. It's very soft. It's like a foam ball. If the olive oil is very nice, you can sort of like run it through your fingers a little bit. It's lovely. So, and also, I'm just putting it on my board so I can just like give it a little bit of a push out and stretch it. take the rolling pin again and just use this to stretch it out a little bit. A little bit of this is going to go a long way. Just know. Now you can turn this just as a pizza. That's totally fine. And, you know, it will be great for that. But we're making Pizzatashen, right? So we're going to use similar concept to what we did with the other dough. We want to roll it out thin. And just start from the middle and put pressure. It's not going to break. And if it gets too hard to handle, that's okay. You can always start again. So we're going to take our cup again. Cut. 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 And we need our tomato sauce. And we need here we are. I'm using fresh mozzarella, but you can use any kind of cheese that you want. You can use, you can use shredded. I tasted it, of course, because somebody was trying to get in. Did they get in? I think so. Good. Do you want to taste it? Tastes like mozzarella, right? All right. We're gonna take our pizza dough. We're gonna stretch it out a little bit so we have a little circle. While I'm doing this, Jamie, can you grab another sheet? Or can you take this other sheet pan and put some parchment paper on it? And so what we're gonna do is we're going to take our circle and we're going to pinch, so we have with our pizza, and we're going to start, and then once they're filled, we're going to start to put them on the board, on the sheet pan, and make our pizza done. So you can even do it this way, where you take little balls of dough off and stretch it out yourself with your fingers. Okay. This is if you want more of like a thicker crust pizza. So you're gonna pinch. You're always gonna pinch. We're gonna do this part first. Before we were filling and then pinching. This pizza dough it doesn't like to get stretched. Every time it stretches, it tries to come back a little bit. So you need to do the pinching first so that it stays in shape. And all we're gonna do here is put a little bit of sauce. You can also just put, fresh tomato if you want, or sun-dried tomato, that's great. Not too much sauce. And then nice cheese, shredded is fine. You can feel free to put your favorite topping on. Maybe you like, garlic. Maybe you like mushroom. Maybe you like anchovy or olives. Just taking our dough and then thinning it out a little bit. And if it's not that thin or if it's not that thick, it's very forgiving. Don't worry. Pinch, pinch, pinch. And these are gonna get bigger. Pizza dough expands in the oven. Put a little bit of sauce in the middle. And some more cheese. Take another piece of dough. And we're just gonna keep doing this. Now you can also do it the other way where you roll it out and then you cut out the circles. Every way is good. Go down, pinch, pinch, pinch. And then you gotta work fast. Sauce, cheese. Give it some extra cheese. Who doesn't like a little bit of extra cheese? Alright, Jamie, you wanna keep making some of these Pizzatashen? So, how's it go? Tell them.
I was cleaning while you were making it, so I'm gonna give it a shot.
So we're gonna batten it. We're gonna pinch on the corners.
Gonna do it.
Yep. Perfect. We're gonna fill a little sauce. And then cheese. Pinch, pinch. Get another one. Now, if you really want to deal the lily, if you can either buy some fancy or you can make your own, you can brush us with a little bit of garlic oil or truffle or something. You can do this with, you can fill it with goat cheese and like truffles, or like you can use like truffle butter or whatever, and mushrooms. Make this real fancy. Everyone will want to be at your house for Purim. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? It feels very spongy.
Yeah.
Very. This is pizza. This is, but you can also just use this to make pizza, or you can make calzones, or flatbreads, or stromboli, kosher stromboli. It makes excellent version of like deli roll. Instead of using, what's deli roll? Deli roll is like a very traditional. I mean, it's very popular Shabbat food. It's essentially puff pastry and stuffed with deli meats. You know, it's like, and usually, you know, corned beef, pastrami, or turkey, and usually a little bit of mustard in there, also a rusty dressing, and then they roll it up into, you know, like almost like a Yule log type thing, and then they bake it, so it's like a deli roll.
So how do you keep these bad boys from popping open?
So these will pop open a little bit probably. This pizza dough won't work with they're gonna stick together a little more. You want to pinch them again right before they go in the oven. But they will naturally start expanding in a little different ways because pizza dough has a mind of its own. So it's not just gonna go, a lot of cookie dough stuff just sort of goes up. This will go sort of like
wherever it wants to.
But we still love it and it'll still be delicious. I'm just gonna do a couple more. Pinch. And pinch. If you're really worried about it rising too much, you can use a fork to like, and you can sort of poke it at the bottom in the middle, and that will stop it from rising too much. But I think it's nice to have. I like a little bit of freeform because I love to sort of see that it's homemade. And if you feel like there's extra cheese, there's not. It can never be too much cheese. But you can also just do these as regular like mini pizzas, or pizza bagels. But Jamie's gonna keep rolling some out, and I'm gonna check in with people. How are you doing for those who are cooking? Ingrid, how are you doing? I want to check in on you.
Thank you. Not too bad. It's getting better. It's finally in one piece, but it's not the piece. Even, you know, it has like, it looks like a brain.
That's okay. It comes together a little bit. At this point, I would I would wrap it in plastic really tightly, or push it together and let it rest for a bit in the.
Okay. Can I put it into foil paper or no?
Yeah, you can. It just has to be really tight.
Okay.
I would maybe spray the tin foil.
Okay,
like with it, I non-stick spray.
I might have enough. So I'll spray. No spray.
Yes, spray. The plastic wrap, it comes off it a little more easily. But with tin foil, I'd be afraid that it might stick in the crevices a little bit.
Okay. So on this one, I don't need to spray them.
No, you want cheese?
A little soup is
she's only here for the cheese.
For a handout.
How about is anybody? Ella, how are you doing?
I have the sweet ones in the oven right now. So I did the Nutella and I did nuts because I don't have any ricotta. I made half the amount of dough you you made, and I made 12, which is more than we're gonna eat.
Yeah, mine, the recipe would make about, I'd say, between 18 and 24. Because
Right.
you gotta do more, depends. I mean, sometimes people make really big hamantashen, and sometimes they're small. I find a lot of like fancy, like tiny hamantashen now, like hamantashen cereal.
Like,
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
So for the pizza dough stuff, if I don't want to make them all tonight, what will it say?
The pizza dough will stay in your fridge for 2 days. You can freeze the pizza dough for 2 weeks.
And it's okay. The pizza dough is pretty sticky.
Yeah, so to be sticky, you have to add a little flour to it when you before you knead it.
Yeah, so I'm like ripping off a piece that's super sticky, and then just sort of rolling it in the flour,
Yeah, I mean, you kneaded it already?
Did I knead it after? I didn't knead it after, but I'm just making individual little circles.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. That's what we were. So, but yeah, you can just put a little extra flour, or you can even feel free to use a little olive oil. You've already kneaded it and let it rise and stuff.
I put it together. I let it rise. Whatever. I put the yeast into the flour. I mixed it, and then it's been sitting for 20 minutes.
Oh, but you have to knead it before you let it rise. Hey.
Hey.
After you've mixed everything together and it becomes dough, it's going to be sticky. So you're supposed to brush it, put a little flour down and knead it for like a minute or two.
Okay.
That will help smooth it out.
Okay. Well, I'll do that now before putting it in plastic wrap for overnight.
Yeah, exactly. And it'll be fine. If you put it in the fridge, it'll still rise a little bit. It'll be perfectly good. And if you don't use them all for Pizzatashen, you can use it for any kind of other pizza-esque.
Yeah.
Pizza-esque food. Oh, I think it might be time to check on me. Excuse me. It might be time to check on.
Smells pretty good in here.
Cannoli Hamantashen. Let's see. Have these done Hamantashen things? They have. So I'll give you a preview. So these are Cannoli Tashens.
Beautiful.
They haven't unwrapped. It's still a little bit of give to the dough, but not like very soft. And you can go a little bit brown. It's perfectly fine. I'm gonna take these out. I'm just gonna let them rest.
They're gonna keep on cooking while they're sitting up.
They will cook for a little more. They'll firm up. If I had a cookie rack down here, I would put them on there, but I do not, alas. So I'm just gonna let them rest on the sheet pan. Making a little more room for our last Pizzatashen. Go in the oven, and then these will go in the oven too. These need a little longer. They need about 15 to 20 minutes. Now you can do this without cheese. I mean, not perfect for the oven. And you want to also increase the heat to 400. I'm just increasing the heat so that we done one more time. But these will be very delicious. Have a little bit of extra pizza dough left. What should we make? Pizza?
Probably.
Dinner, right? So I'm just gonna roll this out. And do the same thing. And I'm just rotating the dough and starting in the middle with my rolling pin. How are other people doing? Is there anybody else? What step are you on? What are you making? Do you want me to go over stuff again? I feel like sometimes we lose track. Virtual is always something hard to check in with people.
How long should it stay in the dough in the refrigerator?
This dough specifically needs at least 15 minutes, 15 or 20 minutes, but it could go up to like 2 or 3 days. But ideally, I'd say at least 15 minutes, maybe an hour, depending on when you're cooking. But 15 is fine. If you're worried, you can always put it in the freezer. Just put a little extra sauce here. You don't need a super ton of sauce in your pizza. Just want to make sure it's even.
We are celebrating Pie Day coming up. So Monday is Pie Day. I think this is what we will be bringing for Pie Day.
Ella, can you explain to the rest of the class who doesn't remember high school math what Pie Day is?
So Pie Day, so March 14th is 314 and pi is 3.14. And so I work with a bunch of geeks, and so we always celebrate, math days like Pie Day. So people are bringing in sweet and savory pies. I think we have our dough, and we'll just have to make the rest of this on Sunday for school. It was round, and then we made it into triangles, which is like the coolest. So
we are like really sort of telling off geometry here.
Yep.
And then nice. So the last garnish for our Pizzatashen. This is optional, but I like it because it's fancy. I had to put a little bit of fresh basil on top of my pizza and pizza because why not? It gives it a little bit of more freshness and a little bit of elegance, and a little something green on there. Everything should have something green, right? So, easiest way to cut basil is take a bunch of leaves, line them up. They don't all need to be perfect, but they should all sort of be on top of each other. And fresh basil should not be stored in the fridge, or it'll turn black quicker. You actually just keep it in like a cool, dry place. You keep it on your counter, you can keep it on the table. So I'm just taking the leaves, rolling them tightly into like a log. And then I'm just gonna run my knife. Now we have lovely sort of basil. This is called chiffonade. You don't want to cut the basil too much because then you'll bruise it. But you don't want to hurt its feelings. It'll pout and turn colors, and that's just such a tragedy. But I think this is a lovely topping for our. Now remember, I took leaves and I put them together and I rolled them up tightly, like you're rolling a cigar or something. And then I just took your knife, put it down, and then you can cut it a little more if you want, but then you have lovely sort of ribbons of basil. And you can also snip it. You can also put whole basil leaves if you want. And this is delicious. You can also feel free to make like a caprese salad with if you have leftover mozzarella, if you're using fresh mozzarella. But yeah, so I think we should we show everyone how the Cannoli Hamantashen is? Should we take one? Yeah. Should I take a picture of them first?
I did take a picture.
Here's some.
Yes. Love it. Oh, they look so good, Alex.
Looking good.
There's one that's got the marshmallow just peeking out and is just a little brown.
It wants to, it just wants to be unique and different. So it's still hot, but the cookie has firmed up, but it's still a little, it's got some nice butteriness to it. The filling is soft, but not leaking out. I think let's take this one, right? This one looks good.
I take this one.
Yeah. And then we are gonna taste it. We're gonna break it open. It should be sort of soft, to hot, not raw on the bottom. Just break it out. It's gonna ooze a little bit. And there's chocolate now. Okay. And it's really good. You can do this without the chocolate chips and have like more. But we forgot to
Frost it with confection
not
sugar.
frost it, yeah. But if you really want a really nice presentation, I'll put this on here. You can hand me the little. This is what I like to do. You do this like right before you're serving them. Just put a little bit of extra sugar in your. You can use a spoon if you don't have. If you have a sifter, that's great. Okay. There's a little sifter. Use it for dipping, and then you would just put a spoonful or two in, and then you would just tap that over it. And it'd be like snow. It's same thing you might do if you have like a flour chocolate cake, or raspberry torte or something. Very 80s, very old school, but also like, don't you get powdered sugar on the top of your cannoli, right? And voila. So give us a little bit of time. Can't wait to make them. Thanks.
Amazing.
Thanks, Letty. You're gonna have to let us know how it turns out. So, Michelle, you think you're gonna make both of these, or just one, or none?
Yeah, I'm gonna make all of it. I don't know if all on the same day, but yes, all of it.
Well, that's why you got two recipes, because you can make them different times, or you can use some of the dough for one recipe and some of the dough for another.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so we're just gonna start cleaning up a little bit. But Ingrid, how's it going by you?
Good. I have to be honest. I put the dough in the refrigerator, and I'm listening to you, and I'm finishing. I'm like cooking for tomorrow. I'm putting things in containers for tomorrow because it's just a mess here.
Is it just for you and your family, or you have people over?
I have people over.
I like that. Isn't it nice that like you can see people again? It's
Finally, yeah.
It was quiet and very scary, very sad for a while. I mean, still sad, but I'm gonna take a quick peek in the oven, and maybe
Jon,
I'll.
Are we supposed to do maybe an egg wash on the sweet ones?
You can if you want to. You can use one egg with a little bit, or you can use a little bit of milk mixed with egg white, or I don't put an egg wash on my Hamantashen. I don't want them to get super brown, but you can. An egg wash also helps them a little bit from not unsealing. Like, so if you're worried about your burgers, an egg wash really helps in the process, but it's not necessary. You can use egg white, you can use the whole egg, milk. A lot of people use if you want to make it dairy, but I don't do an egg wash. All right, so I do one. These are almost done. I'll give you a quick peek at our Pizzatashen. They're a little more round, which is okay. A lot of them are triangular in shape.
Oh wow.
But they're going to pop up like pizza. And if you're really worried and you really want the shape to be like super triangular, then you can always, once they come out of the oven, you can actually pinch them a little more while the dough is still soft. But I think it's fine. I love the sort of rustic, aspect of it.
Yeah.
You could also just make one giant Pizzatashen, like a conservative dinner, like a big triangle. Or make
that's
a square.
a great idea. Never thought of that.
Yeah, you could even do like a square one and then cut it. Yeah, just triangle.
Strombolitashen.
Yes. You could put, your favorite toppings on here. Make it whatever you want. You could put mushrooms in. You could put pepperoni if you're not kosher. You can do whatever. It's all going to be very tasty. You even don't have to make these into Hamantashen. You can make these in. I've done this before and put them into like a cupcake pan or into mini cupcakes and made like pizza cupcakes. Like the ones that you spend $8 for at Schwartzberg. You can make them at home for like super much. But yes. So if we were to do another cooking workshop, as we do, maybe next one might be in time for Passover. What would you want to see? What would you want to learn how to make? What would you want to have reinforcements of making your favorite recipes, your favorite dishes?
I think anything like what you did today, like that is like just more creative than the regular, traditional dishes. So,
Perfect. A little out of the box.
What's that?
A little bit more out of the box.
Yeah.
Out of the box.
I like that because when I looked at the PDF and it's my first time baking with you, I was looking for the Hamantashen. I couldn't find it, and yeah.
We can do something maybe like we could do something like a matzah farfel, like a Passover with mac and cheese or something, or we can do something like Passover cake that doesn't taste like matzah.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's the food during Passover is really not that great. So
make something work. Maybe we should make our own Passover pasta.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I like that.
Yeah, like in 2020, everybody had to make their own Passover matzah because the world shut down right before Passover, and it was like, oh no, there's no matzah, and nobody's going to the store.
It was so, at that point it was so, nobody knew what they didn't know, and it was so crazy. Jamie, how do you feel about taking your Pizzatashen out of the oven? I can smell them because I feel like the nose knows, right? They're great. How does the bottom look? So we can put that down right here. You have to see this. So delicious.
Oh my god, it looks so delicious.
Now, while it's still hot, just gonna put some of this fresh basil. Yeah, I guess it's pretty fresh. You can pick that up too. Yeah, I'm just gonna put a little bit in each one. Doesn't need a lot, a little bit of love. Perfect. And then I'm also gonna.
Those look amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
And this is our. Do you want to show them? This is our dinner.
Voila.
Oh, nice.
That's so nice.
I just have never seen a savory one, so I'm so excited to try that.
You give this a minute to cool. So if you're really worried, you can go in here and try to fold it back over, and it will be about. You can see the dough cooks up and really becomes like Hamantashen shape. And
So cute.
Yeah, nice.
they give it a minute.
This one
so
turned
it's
out good.
I just missed it, but I'm okay. Kitchen hands. It doesn't affect me. But yeah. So yeah, these are Pizzatashen, and then should we show them the Cannoli Tashen again so that they don't forget? And you can have a whole Italian themed.
Delicious Purim feast.
But yeah, these I promise are good. These are even good cold. Like 3 years ago, I was selling these Pizzatashen and they were like lukewarm when I sold it because it was that night at like a Purim event. There's there was a spiel, sort of like a big thing in Brooklyn, and people loved it even though they weren't like, hot at the time.
Novelty of it is fun.
Yeah, well that too.
I feel like these are ready to eat.
These are ready to be eaten. Do you want to take one?
I'm gonna do it.
Take one too.
Cheers.
Cheers.
That's so good.
It tastes like pizza
Oh my God,
and
so good.
Hamantashen.
Mm.
And
Do we want
do you? And dog approved. And human approved. You can bake, once these are baked, you can freeze these if you want. Flash freeze them on the sheet pan in your freezer, and then you can put them into like a Ziploc bag and serve them whenever you want. I would let them cool first before you put them in the freezer for a minute though. Unless you have like a freezer drawer or the really wide one. It takes about 45 minutes. I'd say to flash freeze them, and then you can, if you don't want to have them all the time or if they're leftovers, or you can put them in the fridge and these are good for 3 days, I'd say. But yeah, so how are you still making, Ella, now, everyone?
The savory ones are in the oven.
Perfect.
And the sweet ones are really good. So I did a different filling, and the filling I did was literally just chopped walnuts with a little bit of honey. And
very like baklava-esque.
Yeah.
yeah, kind of. Well, yeah, yeah.
Well,
yeah.
okay, no, but that sounds good.
Yeah, no, it was really good. So I did those, and I haven't tried the Nutella one yet. But that was, like I said, we don't have any. I didn't prepare properly, so we didn't have any ricotta. So,
The dough is so versatile that you can do it with any kind of filling. That's what's so great about it.
and then in the oven, we had a little bit of tomato sauce and cheese, and so we've got a few of those little pizza ones going, and then we had made stuffed stuffed jalapenos, so we had like a cream cheese cheddar mixture that's in one of them, and I did the goat cheese with truffle oil as a I only made like 6, so those are like each individual.
It's like we're not gonna be able to eat all these.
Exactly, right? Exactly. So I'm gonna save it in the refrigerator, bring it into work on Pie Day. Yeah.
Exactly, and everyone will be so happy. Nobody is unhappy if you bring pizza into work.
Mm-hmm.
Yes or no?
True.
You can even bring it into virtual
Especially
work.
when you're working remotely.
Yeah, exactly. Even more so. So Letty, you're going to be making these later on?
Yep, absolutely. Both of them.
Amazing. Are you doing something special for Purim?
No, I just want to learn because I took a class about a year ago and it tasted so good. I thought I definitely need to make these cookies more often, and now that you have a savory one, even more so.
Oh, I'm so glad. I also put I believe I put the recipe from last year's. Janet was on, but I think she had to hop off. I put the recipe from last year's one also on it's on our website, so j2food.com. And I had her strawberry balsamic hamantashen and then caramel onion cooked cheese.
Oh my goodness, thank you for telling me. Are you doing any other classes coming up?
Yeah, we're doing our next one up. We'll do one before Passover, so in a few weeks. But we also we have other recipes and some cooking videos on our website or on YouTube that we've recorded previously. And we'll also be starting to do more classes again. There was sort of a lull where we weren't doing as many for a bit, you know, when people were sort of trying to figure out if they were going to like come out of hibernation or not. But we're ready to have more content and to cook with people, both in person and virtually.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
I'm happy to, you know, let me know if you'd like me to add you to our newsletter that goes out once a month, where we always talk about upcoming classes or events or.
Yes, please.
Your
Great.
Instagram account is one of my favorites. Your food always looks so good, and it's definitely inspiration for. We've gone, oh, look at that. Can we make that? Well, you know, because I've texted you this. Okay. Can I get the rest?
That's what we want. We want people to be hungry and to want to make the food, or to want us to make them for them, or
Yeah.
it's, you know, food's also like a universal language, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So yes. So, if you forgot who I was, I am Chef Jonathan Hartig of J2Food. We are located in New York, but we also do events virtually and in other cities, either Philly, DC, what have you. And we'd love to cook with you again. And our social media is at J2Food, JSQUARED FOOD. You can also find our hashtag J2Food. And we'd love to talk to you when you feel you have any other questions or comments, or you gotta, you know, you take pictures when you're making your recipes, show, you know, send them to me so I can see how they turned out, or tag us on Insta, or tweet at us, or Snap or something, or you know, whatever TikTok, do a TikTok dance at us, whatever the kids are doing these days. And but yes, so these are Pizzatashen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to seeing you all again and talk soon. And have a wonderful night and a happy Purim and a tasty Purim.
Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach.
Thanks, Samantha.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.